All right, my dad is here, Bill Jones, and we're going to do a video to teach Dad how to fix something. We're going to start him off with what I think is an iPad mini charge port job. So Dad, this is an iPad mini, and it will boot if it has a battery with charge. When I plug it into a charger, that's the white thing that goes in the wall, then it doesn't charge, it doesn't detect the charger, and it pulls no charging current. What do you think we should do to troubleshoot that problem?
Replace the receptacle that the power cord goes in.
Should we look at it first to see if it's bad?
Yeah, we think we can determine that.
I think you probably can. Would you like to look at it under the microscope?
Why, sure.
All right, that's a good idea. Now, if it's not bad, FYI, what?
Monty Python would have said, of course it's a good idea.
Okay. Now, if it's not bad, then should we replace it?
No.
Because it could be a
Something
problem
else.
further up. Exactly.
Right.
So getting in the idea of replacing things that are not bad is generally bad repair. I just answered some questions online today about, somebody that just started replacing everything in the circuit, hoping one of them would be the problem, and burned up the board doing it.
If you can diagnose the stuff, fine. Sometimes people have no way of knowing, and they're just guessing, and they start with the cheapest, work on through.
All right, well, let's take a look and see if you think the charge port
Okay.
looks normal. That's at the bottom of the iPad mini, and you have to tip it up on its end to see it, and we're going to pull your microscope over. Here. It's going to be under here. All right, so now you hold on to that,
I got it.
and we're going to change you to microscope view. And now we're going to try and make it so that you can actually look into that. So I'll adjust this focus for you. All right, so now look in there.
Looks kind of corroded in there to me.
I agree.
I think that's Pepsi.
I don't know about that. Now, do you see how it has little copper contacts in there?
Yeah.
Are they all present?
I'm going to say no.
Correct. So you're missing the third one in from the left. It's gone. See that?
Let me move it over.
All right.
Right. Correct.
Left. Okay, great. All right, so then replacing it is a reasonable thing to do. Yep?
Yep.
All right, so we'll move that out of the way. All right, now let's open it up without destroying it. So minis are pretty finicky, and you can mess them up really easily if you take off the screens before doing the number one thing you should do before every repair, which is what? Every repair of an electronic device.
Take the battery out.
Yes! You're on a roll. Here, disconnect the battery right there. Pull
Well,
it.
I just pry it out, right?
Nope. Here,
Oh.
use a fingernail and flip it up
Give me a crowbar.
from the back side.
Is this the battery?
Nope.
That's the battery.
Yes.
From
This
the
is the
back?
battery. Isn't that amazing? It's all your whole device is like
What do
almost
you
all
want me to
back.
flip up?
That thing.
This thing.
the
Which
battery
Which is
connector.
the back side.
The battery side. Great.
Look at that.
Look at that. You're a pro already. All right, now I'll take off the LCD and the digitizer. And if we get these out, we can get all these to come right up. All right, so investigate where you think the charge port is connected to the board. You want to look under the microscope?
There's a screw
Yep.
with some corrosion around it.
I don't know about that. It looks pretty normal to me.
Well, you'll learn the difference. Sure.
Okay. All right, so here's the screws. Here's 1, 2 up here. 1, 2, and then there's 2 hidden ones, and then the 2 big ones that you see.
All right. Oh, okay, good.
Now, if this was your iPad mini and you broke the charge port, what would you do? Would you open it up or take it to a shop?
I'd take it to a shop.
Why?
Because if I opened it up, if I could open it up, I wouldn't have access to a part to replace it with.
Well, you could call me up and I'd send you a charge port. Here, I'll give you one. Put it in your pocket just in case you ever have the need.
I think I'm still taking it to the shop. Now, where is the so-called hidden, the 2 hidden screws that you mentioned?
All right, I'll show you here. Pass it over. There's a piece of black tape here. And once you peel that up, then behind there is a screw. Same for the other side. All right, so see that? 1, 2 hidden screws, and then 1, 2 big screws. Now here's a tip, Dad.
Okay.
When you're doing an iPad mini charge port job,
Yeah.
those big fat screws that are not hidden,
Yes.
they have a little spacer and they ground the speakers. So if you don't put the new port in the same way as the original and include those spacers, then you'll get it all done and your iPad mini will have no sound from the speakers.
We can't have that.
Right. Good thing you're in the know. Now remember, lefty loosey.
Righty tighty.
Hi, Maisie. Look, Pa's fixing an iPad mini.
Maybe.
You want to see?
Yep.
Okay. Making a video and it's going to be all Pa's red jacket. That's all anybody can see.
And you.
And me. Where's you?
I don't know.
Let's try to hide you. Let's move this out. Big bucket of stuff to fix. There's your hand.
Yeah, I know.
Did you,
There's Maisie. What? There's you.
as a cruel hoax, you gave me a screwdriver with the wrong kind of bit on the end of it, didn't you?
No.
Okay. Now, can I just lift this up and bang it and let the screws fall out? Or how do I grab hold of the screws?
Well, this drivers should be magnetized, so they should just stick to it. I've never tried the lift it up and bang it method. Never even heard of it.
Tried and true.
All right, let's help out Pa so he doesn't lose any screws. Hop down.
Alright, so I need a pair of tweezers.
Here, let's get Pa some good tweezers that actually work. Here, use those.
And the wet fix a toy one.
Yeah, you can fix a toy one, sure. Here. Go and get one of those in that pile and you can get over here with a screwdriver and fix too. See that pile of iPad minis?
These?
Yep. You can even go to one of those stations and you can screw the screws yourself. That's a good one. Here, I'll show you where the screws are.
And is those?
This is the screws that Pa's working on. Do you want to work on those screws too?
Yeah.
All right. Here, why don't you go over there to that
Can I
station?
use these?
That one probably won't work.
Probably that one.
That one probably won't work either. We might have to go on a little bit of a hunt. We don't need that. That's it. And now you can see that the flex is attached to the iPad mini by being soldered on there. Yeah?
If you say so.
What do you mean if I say so?
Well, I can't tell that by looking at it.
Really? These are all solder joints.
Okay.
So we need to desolder it.
Desolder it.
Yeah. What?
I kind of got something out.
You did?
Yeah, look.
You got one out. Good. You should keep it on the magnet mat over there, okay? Very good. You did that a lot faster than Pop. All right, so we're going to keep this under the microscope so we can watch.
Is it this one I'm gonna put in?
Yeah, that's right. All right, here's my strategy for getting that up without ripping the pads that are under it. So we want to desolder that flex away from the underlying pads. Hey, you have to be quiet so Pa can focus. He can't hear. So what we're going to do is we're going to melt the solder on top with hot, fresh solder and rub it all on there and kind of flow those joints by putting fresh hot solder on top of that whole thing. So here's the tool that you're going to use, a great big iron like this. We're going to put on plenty of flux and you're going to feed solder into that and kind of get that all flowed hot and fresh. All right? I'm turning that on. So grab it. And now I'm going to... What?
Just grab it on this end.
Yeah, grab it on the end that's not hot. Now I'm gonna add this flux, just like stained glass. Now you have a string of solder by your right hand. You can get it.
A string of solder. This?
Yeah, that. Pull it from the pulley.
All right.
Yep. All right. Now make it happen. Good job, Maisie. You sure did. All right. All right. Come on, Dad.
I got both of them, Mom.
Good.
So
All right.
now what?
Put a ton of solder on there, a whole bunch, like a big blob.
And now what, Mom?
Keep going, Maisie. I gotta watch Pa before he burns up this iPad mini. You really can't have too much. You're just working it all in there. Some of the joints are gonna be harder to flow than others. Just keep moving that thing, that ball of solder that's now on the tip, just waving it all around there and reflowing all those joints. So work it in there. All the way at the top, all the way down to the bottom. Get them all hot and fresh. All right, and then you can pull the soldering iron away, and you can stow it over here. Yep. So we'll wipe it off, and then we'll stick it back in there. All right, next, what we're gonna do is use hot air to get them all liquid at once. And then they'll be technically desoldered from the underlying pads.
Right.
However, there's still a kind of a sticker, like an adhesive,
Right.
that is adhering that thing. So what you're gonna do is we're gonna get it nice and hot, and then you're gonna gently put 1 foot of this tweezer under there, getting this all hot, and then gently, without applying any pressure, we're gonna let it release. And your goal is you don't wanna rip up the pads on the board underneath. All right?
Right.
Okay. So we're gonna watch you under the microscope. Okay. Are you ready for the hot air?
I'm ready for the hot air.
Okay, so we're gonna give you a good amount of hot air here. Now, I don't want you to accidentally get any heat on the digitizer connector, which is right here. We're gonna give you a little bit of protection. Just try to avoid that area.
How am I gonna get under there now? You've got my access. Block.
I got this thing out. I got this thingy out.
Oh, good. Save that part. That
That's
part's important.
better.
All right, there. Less complaining. All right, now let's make it so we can see. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
All right. Hit the red button, and now look. This whole thing is going to be hot. That's okay. You can just keep working, okay? Because I got to watch Pa. I don't want him to mess anything up.
I don't have to hold the button.
You don't have to hold the button. Nope. So don't even go near it with the tweezers until, look up there. You see that ball of solder is a hard chunk? That thing should become liquid. And it should all be shiny before you're ready to try to attempt to pull that connector off. So back and forth, give it plenty of time to heat up and get everything liquid. So you want to see that flux start to move. Put some more flux on here. All right, now you can get in there with the tweezers and see if you get any resistance. Keep the heat on there the whole time. You got to keep it hot. There you go. Lift it right up. There you go. I'll take that from you. Turn that off. All right, great job. Now that's where a lot of people mess up by pulling pads, but not you. Totally legit, 100% professional. Except for that. All right, now it's going to be just sort of a straightforward mechanical job where we're going to just on here with a sticker. And there's sort of stuck to the back of that a little bit. What do you think?
What was the likely cause of this damage?
That's a good question. I think the green was some kind of water damage or corrosion to that port. But combined with the fact that this thing has a new battery and was already opened means that somebody's been kind of working in here troubleshooting stuff, and it could be a secondary cause of trying to troubleshoot some other issue. But it was definitely a bad port, so that's sort of step one of
We're going to
troubleshooting.
put this new port in?
Yes.
All right.
So step one, open that bag and get all that old adhesive off. Anytime today is fine.
Well, I don't know whether it's all off or not.
Well, look up there. Look, you can always look
Oh, I
up
can
there.
look up.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
All right, there, beautiful. All right, so now we're going to add some flex on here, and we're going to go back to this and just kind of reflow over these pads to get them nice and tinned and ready. All right, so now they all look nice and even and good to go. All right, so here's the hard part. Now I'm going to switch your tool over to the mini hot tweezers.
Mini
They're
hot
both
tweezers.
hot. And what you need to do now, the challenge of it, you can look up there again. You're going to align this new port. See how it has holes in every one of those little
Right.
pads?
Right.
There's a little square aligner there. And then
Okay.
there's another one down here at the bottom. And it's pretty tough to get them both lined up at the same time. So what you can do is line up one, and then you're going to hold it there with these tweezers, and then you're going to come in with the hot tweezers, and you're going to, with the hot tweezers, you don't want to like just be painting on top of these. You want to apply heat to suck up the solder on the bottom pad, and that's what makes the joint.
Okay.
All right? And then once you get one done, then you'll have like a little axis that it can kind of turn on a little bit. and then you can line it up and tack down the other side. And then we'll go through and do them all. Now I'm going to put some flux on top of that. That way you can actually solder on there. If you need to take off your jacket to get ready, that's okay. Then you'll really get it.
It's never the coil.
That's right.
All right. Where's my hot stuff? There's the hot stuff.
Okay, here comes Dad.
Take this do funny here. And line up.
You can also look in the microscope if that feels more natural. Now, this is why left-hand people are great at microsoldering.
I can understand
If you want, you can press the two tips together and use it as one.
it. Ow! It bit me.
All right, you want me to change you to a different tool? Here, I
Well,
can,
can you lock that together, can't you?
yeah,
Well, then
okay.
do that.
You might want to use that in your right hand. That's a good one. So that one's done. Don't grab the battery. All right, good. Now that it's tacked down, we're going to move down to the other end of the connector. Oh, it's not quite tacked down. Try it one more time. Red tweezers to push it flat down. Give it that pressure. Press it down. Go to one you haven't done any of them. Go back up to the one at the top. I'm going to move this out of your way a little bit more. Okay. Good. All right, that's good. Now let's stop there so we can get it aligned at the bottom. All right, still moving around. All right, so we're going to grab a piece of tin your tip with a little bit of solder. And then really quickly get in there. You want to apply pressure with these to keep it flat, flat, flat on the board. Yep, you want to see that squeegeeing up through those holes. Press it down to the board. Keep it really flat on the board. And then what your goal is to see the solder from underneath come up through the hole. So you're just putting heat to really flow it up from the bottom. So you want to keep your other tweezers near the area that you're working on to keep pressing that area flat to the board. Yes, like that. Now do the one right next to it. Do the inner row as well. Yep, each one. You want to see it bubble up through the hole. That's good. That one was a good one. All right, then move your cold tweezers down. Keep pressing that section by section flat to the board so that you're sure that you're not just painting the top, but you're actually pulling it up from the bottom. All right, now we can't see you. All right. That's right. Put the pressure down and then you'll get each dot. Good. Good. It's just a quick little paint by number. Happy little trees. Did you get them all?
I think.
All right. Okay, put that down. Are you happy with that? Do you think any of them need to be reflowed as you inspect? And you can get even closer. And you can clean it off with Q-tip and alcohol. And you decide if you want to go over any of them or if we're ready to test and see if that actually solved the problem before we screw that thing in there. So what a lot of people do is they end up having cold joints because they don't press it flat down to the board, and then they just sort of paint in the copper without actually drawing the solder up from down below.
I hate it when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I kind of think we ought to just go and do them all over again.
It's totally up to you. If you're going to do that, we're going to put more flux on there.
All right.
But now I think you're getting the hang of it. Well, Mark, I'm sorry to tell you this, but we have no longer have a need for your services.
Oh, no.
Dad here has been doing this mini charge port. Look at how he's done so far.
All right.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
This is my 6th one.
Mom, can you get me a charger? It's only on.
Here, let's ask Mr. Mark. Mr. Mark, you got a charger?
I can get one.
All right. Go with Mr. Mark and he'll help you get a charger so I can finish up with Pop. Here, go with him. Mark, do you have any tips on iPad mini charge port jobs?
Expect to go over it at least twice.
Well, see, you made a good call already there, Dad.
What?
Mark said expect to go over it at least twice. That's what he said. Personally, I only do it once, but...
Yeah, you always get it right on the first try.
That's right.
Like that iPad Pro.
Just like the iPad Pro, exactly, when I did school you in that one. Too bad we ran out of space on that video, or else we could post it.
Yeah, that's too bad.
So, Dad, what do you think about this kind of work? Do you think that you could start a new career now that you're retired?
I don't know. I kind of think it would depend on your success rate. You know, if you did this, if I did this twice, and then I was successful, I think I wouldn't become frustrated at it. I think if I did it 10 times and it still didn't solve the problem, I think I'd get burned out real quick.
Mm-hmm. So if you were doing this in your dining room, what would you charge to solve this problem on this iPad mini?
Well, assuming that somebody other than me had diagnosed that this is what the problem was and this is what needed to be done, and my job was just to do it, and that's it.
That's not generally how it works.
Well, if I had to take a broken iPad and the customer said, "Oh no, it don't work," and then it was up to me to figure out what's wrong with it and also to fix it, I'd have to charge a pretty good amount of money. I don't see how you could do a whole lot of these things in one day.
I could probably do about 25 of these in one day, I think.
Your days are longer than mine.
Well, you could always go to somebody's YouTube channel and say something like, "Help me, bro, please." And maybe you could not have to diagnose it yourself. All right, are you ready to test this?
I am ready to test.
All right.
I do quality work, and I have every confidence that.
All right, well, let's see. So I think we should test it before we put in all those screws and stuff.
Yeah, well, if you.
All right, so we're going to clean it off. You finish cleaning that off. And then grab a piece of this Captain tape and just sort of put it over top of your joints and take off that other piece of tape. I'm going to bring the charger over here so we can see whether or not it is going to pull any charging current. What can I unplug here? Oh, sweet. Mark's got an open socket. Plus an existing port of power next to it. Okay, this one we can at least see. All right, that's good. Why you got yours plugged in that way so you can't see it?
Because I would just kind of look over this way.
It's like right there. You can
What's the
totally
hold
see it.
up
This
here?
whole time you've been like,
Yeah.
all right,
I've got
okay.
9 more of these to get done.
All right. First, let's take off this, get rid of that, and then we'll stick this back on here. All right, Mark, do you think this is going to work?
Well, I didn't really look it over very well, so I'm going to say
Just go with my reputation.
I'm going to say yes. Knowing your
I've
quality,
never failed, ever.
I can tell you have a commitment to quality.
Wait, what makes you say that? Was it the story about Dad? Dad, why don't you tell everybody how you solved your dental problems? What would you recommend for someone who has a crown fall off?
Not. Wait a minute. You don't use instant. What's that glue?
Super glue.
Super
You
glue?
don't use super glue. You have to get the quality glue from the hobby store called Zap-A-Gap glue. That's the kind of glue you use. For all of you out on the internet, the space on my hat is for rent.
By the Zap-A-Gap people. So did you actually put, well, first of all, did you actually try like crazy glue, super glue?
No, I knew better
How?
because I talked with Keith, and he said when you're building model airplanes that Zap-A-Gap glue is great. So I took it from
Did
that.
you read the back of the bottle that says things like, don't put this in your mouth ever or you'll die?
It doesn't say, don't put it in your mouth on the back of the bottle of Zap-A-Gap glue. Doesn't say that.
All right. So what happened? So did you really do that? And?
And every 3 or 4 months, your crown will come off again, and you put another drop of that on there, hold it in there, and it worked.
Practical dental.
For
Practical dentistry.
5 years.
5 years?
Yeah.
And then what? What did here's what I want to know. What did the dentist say when you finally went in there and said, my Zap-A-Gap has built up and
I never.
it's not fitting, and he was kind of getting
in competition with it. And besides that, he would probably said, Zap-A-Gap. I never thought of that. Damn.
All right, Dad, let's see. Let's see if you're going to have to go over these joints or not. All right, ready? Whoops. Dun, 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 dun. Oh my God, it worked.
Of course it worked.
Look at that. You got your charging lightning icon, and what does it say on the red thing? Pa made this mini charge again. Look at that. It's upside down. You have to read it upside down.
It says 191, 193, 199, 191.
Yeah, so 2 amps of charging current, which is entirely appropriate. And you can see how it says
Charging up.
5%, and it now detects it, which before it said 0 on there, and it didn't detect it. So there you go. So what do you think about microsoldering?
I'm still
Look,
batting
6%.
6%.
So you should never do it again. So you could say,
Batting 1,000.
I've microsoldered. In fact, I've never not fixed something.
100% success.
100% success. Never had a
That's
failure.
right.
That's right.
You can say that your staff, you have a member on your staff who has never one time ever screwed up.
That's right. And now you're fired.
Ah.
All right. Well, good job, Dad.
Well, it was interesting. That was interesting. I'm. I have a hard time working on it and keeping it in the microscope.
Yeah.
I think I would do better with an easel and having it right here. And I think I'd do better.
Wait, with no microscope at all? Just like real, like just.
I'd think about it.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm afraid I'd something get in my eye, but I think
Yeah.
I could see it.
It's
Maybe
real
a
hot,
safety
too. It's
glass.
real hot.
I think I'd do better with a single.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
Instrument
switch you out
rather
to. So
than-
this one, we
rather than
can
tweezers.
we can change it out to a thinner tip. This one I like because you can, at times have both tips together for more heat transfer, or you could use them one at a time in one tool. So that's pretty quick. Plus, you can grab both sides of a capacitor or filter, something like that. All right, well, let's see if it's still working. Yep, now it's up to 7%. It's charging up. Send me your bill. All right.
So, what was that called again? A charge port problem?
Yeah. iPad mini's not charging.
And how common is that?
The charge port itself being bad is probably not common. Because a charge port is like a socket, and it doesn't have any chips on it. It doesn't do anything. It's just wires. It's a conduit for wires. That's it. It's a piece of plastic with wires in it. That's it. So the only way that it can actually break is if someone breaks a charger off in it, like you drop it off a table and the charge port stuck in it breaks off. Or corrosion, like you live where you live and there's salt water and salt in the air and it just gets all corroded. So that can take one out. But it's probably more common to have other failures of the charging system in iPad mini. Like using the dollar store charger, which itself has no protection from some, random over voltage out of your outlet, goes straight into the mini, and it will burn up a chip on the board. So replacing that chip is the right repair. A lot of what we see is people that just assume that all charging system problems are replace the battery, and if that doesn't work, replace the charge port, and if that doesn't work, we give up. And a lot of times it's neither of those problems. It's the charging chip on the board that was burned up. So we'll get iPad minis in where somebody has tried to replace the charging port, and if you don't do what we did, if we didn't put the solder on first to sort of reflow those joints, then people that just sort of come in with heat, the native solder that's on there is lead-free and it has a higher melting temperature than this stuff. So you have to put a lot more heat on there. And what people don't sort of appreciate is that some of the joints under there that are connected to the ground plane of the entire device will take longer to heat up than a little adjacent one that's just a thin wire. So they'll see it turn melted, and it's taken a long time because it's still the lead-free solder. So it's taken a long time, and they're thinking, oh, this is taking a long time. There's a lot of heat on the board. This is not good. Oh my God, I got to get this off here. I'm going to burn up their mini. I'm going to ruin it. And as soon as they see one of the pads get liquid, then they'll just rip it off. And that will then tear with it all the pads that were not yet flowed. So then it'll come to us, and A, it never needed the charge port, and B, now the charge port's all messed up because of all those, when you're doing the pads, if the pad that thing's supposed to solder to is gone, then you have to go find out where it talks to, get a wire, and bring that over. So that is a real pain when you get to the end of that and the thing still doesn't charge because the problem all along was the charging chip on the logic board. So my solution to that is to, ask them, did the charge port have physical damage? And if the answer is yes, then I'll take the repair. And if the answer is, I don't really know, then I'll say, I can't help you. That's too much risk for me that it's not going to be repairable, or just too much work for what the maximum value can charge. It makes sense to just not go buy a new iPad mini.
Okay, I'm off.
All right.